Alright guys, here to talk about Iron Fist Season 2, Episode 9, where things are taking interesting twists.
Oh my god.
So this was a good episode of Iron Fist.
This was a good episode of Iron Fist.
This was a good episode. So I think I can see more now how people were saying, because again, like what you were saying, people will say this was good because it ended off good. And I think if the next episode is anything like this episode, yeah, the season will end positively.
And certainly, like, you know, even though I've said before, I'm a sucker for like a lot of the stuff in Season 1 with Bert and... Bert? No, Ward.
No, not
I
Bert.
keep calling him Bert because of Burt Ward.
I know.
It's great.
I've been there.
I love the Tremors so much. Right? So Ward and Joy and their dad and coming back from the dead, all these like interesting, like that whole end of it was really interesting to me. So it's hard for me to say that like Season 1, because like that was the good part about Season 1, and Season 2 now just has some whatever stuff. But I don't know. Do you want to just jump right into the end? Do you want to go through it from the beginning?
We can go right
How
to
do
the
you
end.
feel here? Colleen is some sort of fist.
She
What
at
the
least
fuck?
she at least has the ability to power up one fist and
I was
glow
like,
white.
woo!
But
at the
Davos
end.
still has it. So are we to believe they each have half the power? Can they both do it?
So okay, so like,
Can he only do one fist now?
so I could make a 38-minute video essay on just this topic because I'm so like I'm really into color coding ever since Star Wars, I think, or even like cartoons before that. Color coding for good guys and bad guys and all that stuff like that, right? So I think they really missed an opportunity here. I think Davos should have had the yellow-orange fist, you know, like this whole time, and then after this happened, she should have had white and he should have had red. And it should have been this thing. And now Davos is like mad with power. I must cleanse him. And he's just fucking like, holy shit. Now, you thought he was bad before. Now he's just like, it's over and all that stuff, right?
I always see yellow as chi,
Yeah.
like red is like, you know, fiery power, anger, whatever,
Yeah.
and white is purity, and she is that pure or whatever.
Well, and so now I'm just like, wait, does the color just matter with each person? And it's like an expression of like their own inner whatever, right? So that's what I'm going with now. But at the time, because I didn't even know other colors were possible until he had the red, and now that she has the white, I'm like, holy shit, this is like lanterns now. You got different, everything's different. It's crazy. So I'm super interested in what's gonna happen. If she keeps the fist, then again, I'm shocked that like the day this came out, there weren't tweets on my timeline like sexist. They're canceling this because Colleen's the new Iron Fist or whatever.
Yeah.
So Danny has to get it back, right?
Well, so what doesn't make sense to me is...
How many more tattoos can they do?
So here's the issue. I'm thinking something has to happen and the power just gets sucked into Danny again or some bullshit because you didn't know the show was being canceled when you made this episode.
No.
So like, unless you were planning on making like, you know, the Colleen show starting in like, you know, next season, and then Danny's just the sidekick like she was.
Okay.
But Danny is not the swordsman kung fu master that she was able to hang with the fist.
Yes.
And he had the fist. Now that he doesn't have it and she does, she's like 3 times more powerful than he is.
I know.
So I don't know what would be happening next season if this all kept going.
So would you have liked it though? Would it have been intriguing? Something interesting for you if this ends and like she is the Iron Fist and he's not.
That's interesting.
And
That's certainly interesting.
And he walks with a limp. He has all of his money. His siblings and him are like on better terms. You know, Joy has like permanent injuries. You know, Ward's got the leather jacket, and he's like, I've discovered a different side of myself. Everything's this weird, and now Misty's there, and it's this crazy like crime fighting show where there's all this like ensemble cast of people and all that stuff. And Colleen is like, we can't be together anymore because of like I gotta do all this fisting and all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's this whole different vibe. That's such an interesting show to me.
It's certainly an interesting idea, but I think it breaks just fundamentally everything we have.
It's a disaster.
It doesn't even matter because we're never getting whatever it is.
No, I purely hypothetically speculatory here.
It's a very strange world we live in, knowing this ahead of time. Like, it would have been nice to have finished it without having
I know.
the knowledge of the cancellation.
We should marathon these things, I guess. We'll never do that.
Nah, never do that again. That was brutal.
But like, 13. Well, now that it's 10, honestly, like a slightly easier.
It's a little easier. Yeah.
13 hours in one day to like record and watch them all, we would start early and be like, by episode 7, we're just dying. We're just like, ugh.
Well, because we have to start so early just to get it done in one day.
And then end so late still. This is like 13 hours. So
yeah,
you're starting,
13 hours with
so you're starting,
with 40 minutes of talking in between sometimes.
So you're starting at like 8 a.m. and you're ending at like 11 p.m. or something like that.
Yep.
Anyway, what I think is going to happen is, Danny will still somehow get the fist out of Davos. Maybe after Davos gets killed or something like that. Danny
and
like
both are the fist.
He somehow gets it, and like they both have fist powers. And Danny's like better now because he's gone through this journey, and she's just like minorly fisty.
What would I picture? I don't know, because there's not a lot of angles left. So you really just have Davos as like the person that you could be fighting, because the gang is gone. They're arrested.
Yeah.
The other two gangs are on their side and at peace. So it's really just Davos. So like my gut would say like, oh, Danny probably gets like horribly injured. She like goes to stop the bleeding, the glowing stars, and it goes right back into him and heals him.
That's the other option too, is that it goes from her to him, right?
But Davos,
it has to go from someone to Danny, right?
Davos like there's not an injury that makes sense for that to happen. Like he's not going to get shot because there's no one to shoot him.
Davos?
No, Danny.
Oh, yeah.
And there's Walker still around, and Walker does want Davos dead. And that could happen.
Yeah.
Walker's done some interesting things in this episode. She knocked out Misty. Ward killed... Ward injured, and then she killed Cyclops.
Cyclops! There you go. No, Cyclops, the whole thing was so fucking great. I love that so much. We're going to that part now. Davos pushes Joy off of the second floor balcony ledge.
I was like, he did it! Like, I thought she might die, and then when he pushed her, I was like, holy shit, this is great! And then she didn't die, though.
So, like, this is going to come up 3 times in this episode. Like, we've said for episodes now, well, Davos can just kill you. If, like, Davos ever touches you, you die. Right, but Davos chooses not to do that. So whenever he doesn't do that, I know the person's not going to die because he's not charged up. So he pushes her. He could have like ended her and splattered her, but he chose to push her off instead. Right? Who knows why? Who knows what complicated reasons?
I would wager that she's so fragile to him, he thinks there's no way she'd live.
Possibly. However,
and honestly, there's no way she'd live. Especially if you look at her, she landed on her face. Like, you don't land on your face falling 30 feet and live.
I don't know what part of her hit first, but her face hits at some point, right? Because she's all bloody and all that stuff. No, but she survived. The height alone is not, it's like onto concrete or something, so you would think. But she does. So, like, I knew she wasn't going to die the second he pushed her instead of, like, just, like
imploded her,
Yeah, because he could. And, like, that was his whole mentality. There should be no margin for error. That's like the lesson he thinks he's learning, is that there can be no compromise, there can be no second chances, right? So, it's so puzzling to me. Like, they're going to have to say something, or just ignore it forever. But they're going to have to say something like, well, deep down, I didn't want to kill you. I just whatever.
I don't think they'll ever come into contact
again. I know they won't, but that's what I'm saying is like to like rationalize this behavior because it makes no sense. Because he can kill anyone they wants to kill instantly.
So we got 1 episode left. So like that episode has to be Ward meeting up with Baby Mama, having that conversation. That's at least like 6 minutes of the episode right there.
There's not enough time.
Walker is going to do something and have a conversation with Davos. Walker, and assuming she lives, you're going to get a couple minutes of her probably in her like okay, my Serenity home and my whatever, like some bullshit like that.
Well, so we're going to see this third personality maybe. We haven't gone into that.
If it exists.
The whole thing with integration. Well, like if there's no third personality, why did they put all that stuff in there about there
might have
being
been for a third season thing.
Oh no, they just
that we'd never see.
Yeah. So
or you might get that tease in the last minute. Right. Like the comeback after the bumper or whatever could be this.
No, exactly. So like any of the things that we're concerned about them wrapping up could just be things that never get wrapped up, right?
It's very true.
That's the heartbreaking side of it being canceled. So we can't count on. In my head, I'm like, they have to wrap up all these things, but they totally don't.
No, they don't.
All they have to wrap up. Maybe they don't have to wrap up anything, honestly. That's upsetting.
So let's get back to this episode. So I thought the fight with Colleen in the street with those thug dudes, that That was pretty good.
Okay, I thought you were going to say bad for a second there.
There were parts of it that I'm like, that looks a little bit like Power Rangers. But overall, I thought that was pretty good. I'm like, okay, we're getting back into having like, fights and good things happening.
And like, again, it's like it fits when these are the ninja lackeys of the cartoonishly ninja, thing. It all makes sense to me. It's like, fine. Honestly, it makes more sense for her to beat them up now than it did back when they had shotguns and stuff like that. When you were like, well, they could just shoot her. And now it's like, okay, no, now they've been training for however long the show wants me to believe that they've been training.
I'm pretty sure we predicted BB dying.
Yeah.
So that was no surprise.
And he dies killed by the ATL twin, head of the Davos lackeys and stuff like that. So
if we cut to the fight between Davos and Danny.
So this is the second time.
There's the moment when so they're like, oh, we need to drug him. Well, I have drugs and like that, like, oh, I got like Special K or some shit. The moment we did that, and like when they're fighting and like he does stab him, I'm like, oh man, he gets penetrated so easily by a syringe. It's almost like a gun would ravage him.
Exactly.
And like the gangs that aligned to fight him didn't bring guns. They still had knives and hatchets.
They still had hatchets, and Davos takes care of them. So these are my notes. Davos never fist-ons. Danny is about to inject him with drugs from the youth center. That's like how that's the epic conclusion to this whole thing. So like I love Danny faking or like playing up his leg injury and then snapping into focus and being like, oh wait a minute, and Davos is like, what? Well, it's this great thing.
You gotta from anyone's perspective, you're like, oh my god, you're walking, Danny. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Because I fucking shattered your whole life.
And like his like poor delivery of every line for the entire 2 seasons works here because it seems like he's struggling through the pain of like walking and trying to push himself and act like he's more than he is, right? It's totally accidental, I feel like, but it totally sold for me. Where I was like, yes, and I believe Davos is going to be caught off guard by this, and that's your one chance. But then there's a bunch of punchy kicky like in between.
Yes.
I was like, no. Like the only way this makes sense because Davos is going to just be like, wait a minute, you're not injured.
You should have leaned in for like the hug, like, I think I'm ready for...
Brother, one more time. And then he shakes his hand. Oh, shit! And you're like, what? And then, because then the whole fight, he can be like staggering and be like, this is some good shit. What is this, youth center drugs? This is amazing. And then like eventually passes out, but almost still kill. Like imagine if he was almost killing Danny and then passes out just in time. And Danny's like, holy shit. And then Colleen comes in like, I just kicked like 10 people's asses. What's going on here? And you're like, and he's like, get to the Crane sisters. And then they have to like shove off and do that whole thing, right? That would have been so much better than like... Because Colleen's already fighting. You don't have to show Danny doing all the kicky punchy. We're already doing kicky punchy.
And like, think about anyone there from the gang watching on. They're like, God, Danny's the most powerful man in the world. He's able to hang with this guy.
Yeah, right?
It like...
I feel like every single person, and like this show's been so on the nose, like more and more of the Marvel Netflix ones, where like I love how Misty was like, well, no, he has a red fist. Like they're calling out stuff that usually the audience
would not.
Like the audience screams these things. Why are you confused? It's like a different color power thing or whatever, right? So here I feel like Misty should be like, it's a good thing he didn't like fist you to death. Can't you just instantly kill anyone whenever he wants? Wow, lucky break there. Like the whole thing. Like what are you talking about?
Did you like her fighting with Cyclops and like fully using that metal arm?
When he like punches and he does like the Jackie Chan when he
kicks her at one point and you see him limping the rest of the fight. Yeah,
it's awesome. It's so awesome. No, that was like another fight that I love because I love that Cyclops like and he like drops it. He like clocks it for Davos. Like, look, I have some other talents. I'm not just a driver and like note taker. And then that's when he's like, fuck you.
But like, he does like take a gun and throw it over his shoulder. Like, fuck this. Like, god damn it. That makes me so mad when I'm like, you could like even if it's a 1% chance you lose, you could lose. End it.
He's a warrior, man. He's not into that.
I will warrior you. I will punch you with the gun and then pull the trigger.
No, I don't think you end up in that situation if you're that guy though, because you've taken so many shots and like killed people from like behind or whatever. He's into like he wants to fight. He wants to show off how awesome he is.
My argument would be the flip side is you don't get to the position you're at there taking needless risks.
Sure.
But whatever. He's a Cyclops.
I love the fights though. Whenever he fights, I love it. I don't know if that's just him, if he's just like whatever. But certain performers, the way they move when they fight, I'm like a big fan of it or something like that. Colleen too. There's certain people, something about it. Not always with Colleen though. I can't tell if they're using a body double with her sometimes. but I thought she was a martial artist, so I figure it's just all her, but I don't know.
Couldn't tell you.
But yeah, that fight, as you said, ends poorly for that guy. Ward showing up. Ward with the leather jacket. Ward with buying guns from Turk with Walker.
Yeah.
That whole thing. I loved that whole thing. That was campy and good.
That's something
fine.
I'm gonna miss about them canceling more and more of these Marvel shows. Is those little things like that, like crossover characters, lawyers, drug dealers, whatever. Gun salesmen. It's fun to see these same faces, and it really builds that world and sets it up in a way that you don't get enough of.
Yeah.
At all anymore.
It's something only like a Netflix or something like that can do, is to work in a character like Turk in all these different places, right? He keeps getting shat on, he keeps having tough stuff.
Because even your CW shows, you're not really getting cameos from like background characters. You're getting, Arrow's going to be on Flash.
The star
this week,
of this appears on
or like,
this, right?
his sidekick is going to be there, like things like that. This is it's much better. It's inclusive.
Feels good, right?
It does.
Because when you see him now, you think of his interactions with Luke Cage when he buys the gun, when he sells the gun to Hogarth and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like you feel his presence in this world. It's nice. Yeah. But no, their interaction was great, the whole thing. Walker, like, knowing stuff and saying, like, C980s and all this shit, like, talking to whatever it was. That was great. And Ward's like, bend your knees, do this, like his golf swing shit.
Think of the sunset.
Yeah, he comes in with his country club shit and totally, like, wins him over that way. They have this nice interaction, and then they're hauling off the duffel bags. Like, that was great. I love that.
Yeah.
And, like, his whole thing of, like, I'm going to need a leather jacket. I'm going to have to slick my hair back. I'm going to have to take care of business now. Like, it's such a funny, it's almost like Spider-Man 3 emos. Like, this is his interpretation of, like, it's time to be badass, let's go. Or
I like that
really
Turk still clocks him as a suit. He's like, I'm not wearing a suit. A suit's always a suit.
It's what's so perfect about the whole thing. I love it so much. I'm going to miss that, I think, more than everything. And then when he says, from a van down by the river, and she's like, oh, you're an idiot and all that stuff, and like he's like helping her out. I'm like, oh, this is perfect, right? Because he shoots a guy like 20 feet away and misses, basically, and that's it. That's him saving the day.
Well, he didn't miss. He hit him in the throat.
He wasn't aiming to, like, wing his artery. He was trying to hit him. He, like, basically missed him, right?
Well, either way, that shot would have killed him.
If it hit him, yeah.
It did hit him.
I mean hit him for real. It just, like, winged him. You know what I mean?
Yes, but there's a big difference between winging an artery and, like, a shoulder.
Yes, one is, like, getting lucky, and one is, like, just like...
One is committing murder, and like one is assault.
So, like, he may have died from those injuries, but that's, like, it's still lucky that you even hit him at all, at that point. You should have, like, actually hit him. Somewhere
I don't
in the body.
Know. Well, again, I'm sure he was aiming for the head when he did that.
He also says, I thought it was Davos. Like, he's an idiot. It's like amazing. And that's good because that fits because he shouldn't be doing like slides and like doing awesome stuff.
No, but had
like
that first shot not hit the guy in the throat, there would have been a second shot.
I would hope so. Yes.
Yeah, but he didn't require it.
Yes.
I thought it was still a calculated maneuver, even though he didn't hit the person he thought he was hitting.
It's a whole funny. The
guy's like a foot taller than Davos.
Yes, and he's wearing an eye patch.
Did he shoot him from the front? Yeah, he didn't.
The point is, like, it demonstrates, like, it's without it being like having to be said out loud to me, it fills in all these details. I'm not worried or excited about action star Ward next season, which is not happening.
I am going to go on record to say that I am very excited about Action Ward, season 3.
He squeezes and he's like,
his eyes go.
You've been served legal papers. You've been served legal papers. No,
he's not a lawyer.
Well, he can still serve. No, I'm super into it. I enjoyed that whole through line throughout the whole episode.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed now that we're going to be at the last episode of the season, honestly.
I know.
Because it started to build, and if we could have taken this momentum a little farther, but we are running out of characters. We don't have, and did you catch the little bits about, like, well, how many members do we have left from, like, the Tigers and the X-Men or whatever, like 6 and 7 or something, and I was like, what? How many members you have left?
I assume he means like members of like Strike Force Alpha that can fight like ninja fighting or something like that.
I don't know.
I don't know. But yes, it seems like, at the end of the day, I'm not going to be like, who's going to solve all that crime? I'm like, the crime is fine. There's no crime anymore. Mm-hmm. They've deleted all these gangs, basically, like accidentally and all that stuff.
More or less. And Daredevil's back, so
Daredevil can take care of everything. It's fine. The last thing, which barely means mentioning, except in the context of stuff that I'm sure we're not going to get resolved, is Colleen gets some leads about that box and her family. This whole part. So, like, as much as I enjoyed everything else I've been talking about, this was the part that I was like, oh no, or something like that. Because it's like, oh, he knew a story, and only my mother knows that story, and all this stuff. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Well, it was a story her mom made up when she was a child.
What the fuck? That's like such a lame, dumb thing. Because like everyone's mother or like grandmother might have said something, and then you find out, oh, that was just the recipe that was on the thing of like condensed milk or something like that. You can't be sure that she made up this story, even if she said that she did. And this proves some crazy thing that you're gonna go off on this whole thing.
So you got to take it all in and add it up. So it's the fact that there's this story that her mother would tell her, and it's the symbol of their family. And it's a comb that she remembered as a child. No, those three things make it so it's probably her mom.
All of that is enough on its own, though, this whole weird story thing and the whole thing. It just felt like one of those TV things, not even movie things, like TV things. Like, oh no, my mother used to like polka dots. Oh, this must be the thing. Like,
no, I took it as they were trying to like throw you one direction where like they're telling this fantastic story and like for a moment like you're as an audience supposed to believe, oh, she came from a pirate queens, whatever.
She's the princess. Okay.
Yeah, some craziness like that, and then it's like that's a story my mom told.
Yeah, no, I was not into this whole thing. They like questioned the old guy.
It bothered me more just because, well, again, just knowing that there's no more. I'm like, this is wasted filler. Just get to good stuff. There's not enough time.
That's the word for it, right? Is filler. Is like this just feels like filler, and that I think like if I wasn't as interested in the other stuff would just be like more killer like stuff for me. Do you think that we're falling for the trick of them ending strong? Are we forgetting the 4 straight episodes of shit?
It is literally me saying they are ending strong, meaning they did not. It was not strong.
Right.
No.
Do you think that you're going to end up saying that this season was better than season 1? I know that we're 9 out of 10 episodes in, but
I didn't have very strong feelings on season 1. I thought a lot of season 1 was like a lot of fantasy bullshit kind of stuff. I don't know. I'll wait till the next episode to really give you my definitive answer. We'll see how it ends.
I'm excited to see what they choose to resolve, not knowing that they're going to be canceled or not or whatever. So
yeah,
we'll see who ends up with what fists and how that all works out. Who dies? Who lives?
I'm thinking 3 people, 4 fists.
Great.
And it just ends.
Just nothing more than that. Just some combination of fists. Yes.
Maybe a foot.
Well, so Danny gets back the power, but now both of his fists work, and his third eye glows, and he's like ultra super mega Iron Fist. And then it's like, can't wait for that, and never happens. Yes.
We'll see. There's still possibilities for cameos if...
I wonder what they're going to do.
If that's allowed. We'll see how that goes.
We'll talk more about this, I guess, once we know how everything else ends. Yeah. But based on how powerful Danny ends up and what position he ends up in, and whether the actor is still on contract or what happens, right? Like, how do we account for the fact that he's out there in this world and not helping other people and all that stuff the same way we've been doing it?
Could be a throwaway line in the next season of something. Oh, Danny, got a letter from him. He found his way back to Kunlun.
I was just going to say, he has to go back to Kunlun somehow, right? That has to be the thing. Okay.
All right, guys, so that's our thoughts on this episode of Iron Fist. Let us know in the comments what you thought about it. Don't die in a fire, and we'll see you next time.
Hello, internets. I just love watching JustDaggers. If you've enjoyed this video as much as I have, click that subscribe button. Peace out, homies.